33-31 Browns. Gardner Minshew looks across the middle, finds Michael Pittman, who breaks a tackle, breaks another one, and now he's free. At the 50-yard line, no one's going to catch him. That's a 75-yard touchdown to put the Colts right back on top. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin, and let's get into another week of the NFL season. So, week 7 of the NFL season has just wrapped up. And we're going to get into the talking points from this week as we're almost halfway through the season. I talk about it every week. This NFL season every year goes by so fast. So be prepared. Halfway point is right around the corner. And the standings are starting to matter here. Starting to look at wild card races, looking at the divisional races, see how those are shaping up. They're going to start to matter as we head into the double-digit weeks, as I like to call them. Week 10 through on, that's when things really start to get dicey. Every game matters. And we're going to get into that time. So, weird week again. A lot of teams on bye. I think there was only 11 games on Sunday. So, a little bit light on the slate on Sunday. But a lot of action, a bunch of good games, and a lot of highlights that we're going to get into right now. And we're going to start that off with our play of the day. And this was unbelievable. This was early on in the day. Pretty early in the 1 o'clock window. Still in the first quarter. In the Atlanta Falcons Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. That was a very weird game in itself. A lot of defense, a lot of weird plays happened in that game. Desmond Ridder fumbled one through the end zone for a touchback. Drake London almost did the exact same thing, but he ended up scraping his finger on the ground. If you saw the play, you know what I'm talking about. He got flipped over, trying to extend the ball to the one. Ball popped out. He almost, I don't even know. It was a really weird play. But this game was really weird altogether. But early on in the game, in a 7-7 ball game, Kyle Pitts, who has been the center of a lot of jokes throughout his career because, he's been a very highly touted tight end, played very well at the University of Florida, was a top pick, I believe top 10 pick. I think it was 6 overall, maybe even top 5. I don't even remember. But he hasn't really panned out. He's starting to come around a little bit over the past couple weeks, and this happened on Sunday. We're going to take this look at this. So 2nd and 8 for Atlanta on their own 27-yard line. Here we go. We're going to pick it up. Tie ball game, 7-7. Desmond Ridder fakes a handoff, looks across the middle, finds Kyle Pitts, and at first it's wait, what? What just happened? You can't really tell what's going on there. I don't even know what really happened there. The ball got caught, I guess, but it looked weird. Here's the replay. Desmond Ridder fires to Kyle Pitts, throws it behind him, and one-handed catch. And initially, it looks like he pins this against his back, right? But if you see this last replay, he catches this ball like he's throwing a behind-the-back pass in basketball. And he doesn't even pin this thing to his back. All he does is just catch it with his hands, just almost like he's doing one of those Rajon Rondo fake behind-the-back passes in the NBA. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. That was insane. Catches that ball. Literally, he caught that ball as he was, wild. Never seen anything like that. His momentum was taking him away. He just, catches it, didn't even pin it to his back, just all grip strength. Unbelievable. Rajon Rondo in the NFL, that's what it looked like. That's not, without a doubt, our play of the day. Couldn't believe it when I saw it. It was unreal. Still can't even really believe it right now. Unbelievable play by Kyle Pitts. And maybe these past couple weeks before this were good. He had another solid week. He made that unreal catch. Maybe this is where it starts for Kyle Pitts on National Tight End Day 2023. Maybe this is the beginning of the start. So, now that we've seen our play of the day, we're going to move on to the next segment, the game of the week. And there was a couple options I could have picked here. There was a good game between, I just said that Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. That was a pretty wild game. A lot of weird things happened in that. That ended up being a game-winning field goal by Young Ho Koo to win it for the Atlanta Falcons. There was a crazy game that happened between, Thursday night was a pretty crazy game between the New Orleans Saints and Jacksonville Jaguars, and as well as Sunday night was pretty good. It ended up being kind of lopsided, the final score, but if you watch the game, it was pretty highly contested, and it was really, really a hyped matchup between Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, two quarterbacks that played together at Alabama, and you guys know that history where Tua came in to replace Jalen Hurts, who was the starting quarterback at Alabama, in the national championship game at halftime, as Jalen Hurts was struggling mightily. Tua came in, ramped up the offense, ended up winning the game in overtime, throwing a touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. Pretty funny there that guy was in the game too. Now he plays with Jalen Hurts now, and and he was in that game last night between the Dolphins and the Eagles. But then the next year, Tua wins the starting job. Jalen Hurts is still on the team. Tua gets hurt in the SEC championship game when they're losing to Georgia. Jalen Hurts has to come in, leads a comeback, and wins it in the fourth quarter. So it was pretty cool to see. They talked about that a lot in the broadcast yesterday. But that's not our game of the week either. Our game of the week was an unbelievable shootout from, honestly, a very surprising game. The Colts and the Browns produced a very, very unexpected shootout, in my opinion. The Browns' defense is very good, but I mean, you'll still see that they had an impact on this game, but they gave up a lot more points than I thought. There was 4 lead changes late in the fourth quarter of this game, and this is going to be the second straight game of the week that includes the Cleveland Browns. So we're going to hop right into it right now. We'll pick this thing up in the first quarter, first drive of the game, actually. Cleveland Browns, 3rd and 2, handoff to Jerome Ford. He finds a crease and bursts through it. Nobody's going to catch him. Third play from scrimmage from the Cleveland Browns, third play of the game, 75-yard touchdown by Jerome Ford to put the Browns up 7-0 very early on. Explosive play right out of the gate for the Cleveland offense, and that's going to give the ball to Gardner Minshew and company. And they're going to have a response for themselves. So 3rd and 7. You see Myles Garrett there jumps off sides. Gardner Minshew's going to look deep down the right sideline, and he's going to find Josh Downs, who catches this ball and runs down the sideline, uncontested, for a long TD, does a little shimmy shake there, and ties the game up 7-7. Very next possession, Deshaun Watson trying to extend the play on 3rd and 8, rolls right, throws down the field, and it is intercepted. Picked off, and that will be the first turnover of the day by the Cleveland offense. So, Cleveland turns it over to Indianapolis. Later on in the Indianapolis possession, 3rd and 2, just inside the 20-yard line. Gardner Minshew pulls it, rolls right, makes a man miss, and runs for a 17-yard touchdown. And he does that same little shimmy shake that we saw there from Josh Downs. So, Gardner Minshew pulls it, fakes out everyone, really, and just runs it up the middle for about a 17-yard touchdown. 14-7 Indianapolis. Ensuing Browns possession. 3rd down here, 3rd and 7 for the Cleveland offense. Deshaun Watson trying to make something happen, eluding the pressure, rolling to his left, makes another man miss, throws back across his body, and that one is intercepted too. So another pick there from Deshaun Watson, and he is still down. So Deshaun Watson banged up on the play. He would leave the game and would not return. So that would force P.J. Walker, who made the start last week and actually beat the San Francisco 49ers, to come back into the ballgame. But after this happened, Deshaun Watson came out of the game. They reviewed it because all turnovers, all scoring plays reviewed. They found out that the ball nicked the turf, so it was not an interception. It would be an incomplete pass. And the Browns punt. Because that was 3rd down, 4th down. Ensuing, they punt. So, 1st down and 10 here for the Indianapolis offense. Gardner Minshew fakes the handoff. Myles Garrett's going to break through and get him and get the ball out. Another strip sack for Myles Garrett, who wreaks havoc all over this ball game. A mad scrum for the ball, and the referee points to Cleveland ball. Strip sack, Myles Garrett. Unbelievable so far this season, and unbelievable in this game. So, later on in that Browns possession, they work it down inside the 5-yard line. And just at the beginning of the second quarter, Kareem Hunt takes the direct snap on 2nd and goal from the 3, right into the goal line, right into the end zone to make it 14-14, ties the game up. So, Colts get the ball back, work the ball into field goal range, but the Browns defense is able to tighten it up, force a rather long field goal attempt here from Matt Gay of the Indianapolis Colts. He lines up for the kick, and it is blocked. Myles Garrett leaps over the line. Let's go back and watch this again. Excuse me. So Matt Gay lining up for a 60-yarder. Myles Garrett jumps over the line and blocks the kick. It's picked up by Denzel Ward, returned all the way deep into Indianapolis territory, and Myles Garrett already has his hands all over this game. A strip sack, a blocked field goal, and people, a man that's 6'6", 240 pounds should not be able to jump over a line like this. Unreal. He is absolutely unreal. He's probably the Defensive Player of the Year favorite right now. But on that next Browns possession, they are unable to score a touchdown. They settle for a field goal. Dustin Hopkins nails it, makes it 17-14 Cleveland. Next Colts drive, get some things going. They move the ball all the way inside the 5-yard line. And on first and goal, Gardner Minshew is going to pull it again, roll left, make a man miss, and get into the end zone for his second rushing touchdown of the day. So Gardner Minshew, channeling his inner Anthony Richardson, who is out for the year, as we found out he's going to have shoulder surgery to end his rookie campaign. Unfortunate, but Gardner Minshew steps up in his place and runs for 2 touchdowns. So that makes it 21-17 Indianapolis. And the Browns are going to come up empty on their next possession and punt the ball back to Indianapolis. But they are able to pin them pretty deep inside their own 10-yard line. And on 2nd and 16, Gardner Minshew, looking to throw from his own end zone, is sacked by who else? Myles Garrett. He gets the ball out. It is recovered by the Cleveland Browns for a touchdown. So already 2 strip sacks from Myles Garrett, one of them leading to a touchdown and a blocked field goal. So this guy is just on another planet, just being unbelievable game wrecker that he is. He's just all over the place at all times. That makes the score 24-21 Cleveland, as that touchdown puts them up. So Colts get the ball back. And are unable to do anything. The Browns defense holds up yet again. So Cleveland gets the ball back with a chance to put some more points on the board before halftime. And they are able to work the ball into field goal range for Dustin Hopkins yet again, who nails it for, I believe that was from 48 yards away, to make it 27-21 Cleveland heading into halftime. So a pretty eventful first half here, 27-21. Not really the scoreline that I would have predicted. I'm not sure how many people predicted that at halftime, maybe a final. But the Browns defense, even though they had their big plays, really was kind of giving up big plays in themselves. So interesting first half here, 27-21 at halftime. We'll move into the second half here. Moving to the second half, and the first 2 possessions of the second half ended in empty, both punts, and the Colts get the ball back here. And on a 3rd and 2 play, from their own 41-yard line, Gardner Minshew rolls right, throws back across the middle of the field, and then is intercepted by Denzel Ward. He was looking for Michael Pittman there, threw that ball a little bit behind him on the run. Not a great decision there from Gardner Minshew, picked off by Denzel Ward. He returns it back to that 45-yard line, and the Cleveland Browns are back in business. So they move ahead a little bit, and Dustin Hopkins is able to make another field goal, this time from 54 yards. So Dustin Hopkins extends the Cleveland lead to 9 points, making it 30-21 here with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. So Colts get the ball. They need to get something going. Down by 9. They've given up a touchdown on defense and then 2 straight field goals without answering. So they're going to need to answer it quickly. And they move the ball into the inside the 10-yard line to about the 6. And on 2nd and 4, Gardner Minshew hands off to Jonathan Taylor, who punches it into the end zone for his first touchdown of the year. So the Jonathan Taylor saga, that happened for the whole offseason and into the season. He finally is able to sign a deal with the Colts to stay. He finds the end zone for the first time here in Week 7. Let's see if that impact of his that he had so great on that team as the NFL's rushing leader just 2 seasons ago is able to follow him after he's back now. So, Jonathan Taylor's first touchdown of the year makes it 30-28. Cleveland's still ahead by 2. So, Cleveland's got the ball now. They're driving into Indianapolis territory. They're on the 40-yard line, and they have a 4th down and 2, and they're going to go for it. So, on 4th down here, P.J. Walker's going to toss one to Jerome Ford, but it is dropped. He drops the pitch, and he's already 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage by the time he picks up the ball. Swarms of Indianapolis Colts are around him, tackled for a loss of about 10. Turnover on downs for Cleveland. Colts get the ball back. So, Colts looking to take the lead here with either a field goal or a touchdown. They work the ball inside the 10-yard line for another chip shot field goal from Matt Gay. Matt Gay is able to hit that to give Indianapolis a 1-point lead. 31-30, Indianapolis. Next Cleveland possession. 3rd and 16 from just across midfield. P.J. Walker's looking deep down the left side, intercepted just inside the 5. He was looking for Amari Cooper there for a home run ball on 3rd and 16, but it's intercepted just outside the goal line. Second interception for the day for the Colts defense. First one was thrown by Deshaun Watson. This time, P.J. Walker throws one. So Colts get the ball back, but the Browns defense are able to hold, force a punt. Cleveland is able to get the ball back as they are able to get just across midfield. Dustin Hopkins, another 50-plus yard attempt, this time from 58, absolutely smashes it. Dustin Hopkins was huge in this game, on Sunday for the Cleveland Browns. Very, very clutch, made a bunch of big kicks, 2 from 50-plus. Very, very important for them. Ensuing Colts possession, 33-31 Browns. Gardner Minshew looks across the middle, finds Michael Pittman, who breaks a tackle, breaks another one, and now he's free. At the 50-yard line, no one's going to catch him. That's a 75-yard touchdown to put the Colts right back on top immediately after the Hopkins kick. 38-33. Unbelievable turn of events there as the Colts get back on top immediately. So, just under 5 minutes to go now. Cleveland's got to get something going. 3rd and 9, and I Jones that. So, big play for Michael Pittman. The Cleveland Browns are gonna have to get something going right now. 2.5 minutes to go in the ball game. P.J. Walker looks deep down the right sideline for Elijah Moore, who makes the catch. He gets just across midfield with just above 2 minutes to go in the game. Cleveland down by 5, looking to score a touchdown to win this ball game. 2nd and 9, 1:36 left to go in the game. Walker drops back, fires over the middle, finds Donovan Peoples-Jones for another first down just inside the 20. 52 seconds to go left now. 2nd and 13. Finds Amari Cooper to the right side, and the Browns are forced to take their last timeout. So, 47 seconds to go. 3rd and 4. P.J. Walker looking. Rush gets to him, and he loses the football. It's up for grabs, and the Indianapolis Colts land on it. That seals the game, but hold on. There's a flag in the secondary. Defensive holding against the Colts. Automatic first down for Cleveland. Game is alive still. Unbelievable turn of events there as the game was almost over. Almost a huge play from that Colts defensive line to get a strip sack late to seal the deal. But a first down for Cleveland sets them up on a first down and goal. Colts work them down to 4th down here at the 1-yard line. 4th down and 1. Here's the game on the 1. P.J. Walker hands it to Kareem Hunt, who fights for the goal line and just barely gets across. The Browns score the touchdown to go up by 1 point with 15 seconds to go on the clock. The 2-point conversion fails. 39-38. Cleveland Browns go ahead. 15 seconds to go on the clock on a clutch drive. 2 weeks in a row. P.J. Walker does it again in the 4th quarter. So the Browns are able to hold up. The Colts had one last-ditch effort. It was a strip sack by Cleveland, of course, because that defense is suffocating. And the Browns, for the 2nd week in a row, come on top in a thriller. This time a shootout, 39-38 in the Indianapolis Lucas Oil Stadium against the Colts. What a game, honestly. What a game for Myles Garrett. Unbelievable. I think he had 9 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a blocked field goal. Unbelievable game. And during this game, Myles Garrett became the youngest player ever. No. Myles Garrett became the most I'm actually Jones. Myles Garrett has the most sacks ever in a career before turning 28 years old of all time. Ridiculous. So, Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, that is our game of the week. Unbelievable game all around the board. Bunch of stuff happened in there. That's one of our longest breakdowns we have. long video there, but unbelievable game of the week. That's what we live it for. So we're going to jump into the standings, NFL standings update now. After that, unbelievable game, but crazy stuff. So now, standings update. Starting with the AFC East. Sunday night, the Miami Dolphins took on the Philadelphia Eagles, a clash between 5-1 teams, in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. And it was the first time in, I think, 11 years that the Eagles wore their Kelly green uniforms. And those things looked sweet. And the Dolphins, they looked okay. Tua got a little bit pressure. That seems to be the biggest problem for them. When Tua feels a little bit of pressure, there comes issues with that. But if they're able to protect him, bad things will happen for a defense. But if they get to him, there's a little bit of issues. Miami couldn't run the ball here. The defensive line for Philadelphia had a pretty good game. Tua didn't play bad, but when he got flustered, it was a little bit tough for them to get things rolling. They kept it alive. It was a very close game until very late in the fourth quarter. Tua threw a pick at the goal line late, kind of put the game out of hand because right after that pick, Eagles had a long drive with run plays. I believe they converted like 3 or 4 4th-and-1s with the tush push. They just did it so easy. They scored a touchdown on it too. It's just unbelievable. But the Dolphins lose a tough one to the Eagles on Sunday night. The Buffalo Bills, they lost a tough one as well to the New England Patriots. And, I mean, I don't know what's going on. Whenever Josh Allen, they play a decent defense, he looks like he's struggling. Like he's turning the ball over. He's flustered. It's not that pretty for the Buffalo Bills when they play great defenses. And their defense, very banged up as it is, gave up a game-winning drive to Mac Jones, who has not been very good. And the final score of this game was 29-25. Patriots haven't scored that many points in their last 4 games combined. So that's a question for something for concern there for the Buffalo Bills. Unbelievable stuff there, though. But so we'll move on. The New York Jets, they had a bye. We'll talk about the Patriots a little bit. And like I said, they won that game, right? That's the first time in Mac Jones' career that he won a football game where his opponent scored 24 or more points because they scored 25. And that's the first time ever. This is his 3rd year in the league. We're going to have to get that figured out because your defense is pretty good, sure. But they're not going to keep every team every single week below 25 points. You're going to have to get that figured out a little bit. The NFC East, just talk about the Eagles. They beat the top of the AFC East, Miami Dolphins, Sunday Night Football. Jalen Hurts did turn the ball over again, twice, I believe, correct? Yeah, twice. He fumbled on one time, and I guess the pick really was kind of a fluke play. When that happened, I thought it was one of those plays where the defender just picks a ball up that's clearly an incomplete pass and runs it in for a touchdown for no reason, but it just deflected off the D lineman's arm right into his lap for a pick six. So that one really wasn't Jalen Hurts' fault, but I mean, the turnovers are a little bit of a concern for the Philadelphia Eagles so far. Last year, they had a plus 12, I think, on the turnover margin. They're -3 right now. That's something to look out for. But Eagles were able to take care of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they can control a game in so many different ways. That's why I think they're so good. They could just throw the ball all day. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith could both go for 100 yards. Or they could literally just ground and pound you for a whole 60-minute game. Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, whoever. They'll just run it at you. So, very impressive from them. They look very good. They're 6-1 now. The Dallas Cowboys, they were on bye this week. We'll skip over them. They're sitting in second place in the NFC East right now. The Washington Commanders, they lost to the New York Giants in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Pretty sloppy defensive battle, NFC East game. Final was 14-7 Giants. Giants scored their first touchdown in the first half all season long in Week 7, and I think it was their first touchdown that they scored overall in general in 3 weeks. And they had 2 touchdowns in the second quarter alone. So that was good, but that was their only touchdowns of the game, only score of the game. They were able to beat the Commanders, and in the game where they wore their throwback jerseys. So pretty good stuff for the Giants. Move on to the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely killed Detroit. That was supposed to be like the game of the 1 o'clock window. Like, out of all the games that you looked at the 1 o'clock slate, like that one had the most potential on paper to be the best, most competitive game. Not even close. The Baltimore Ravens were having their way with that Detroit Lion Leaf defense all day long. The Lions looked like they didn't have a chance. They didn't know what was going on. It was 35 nothing. Like, it was crazy. Lamar Jackson was doing whatever he wanted. He threw a touchdown. He made an amazing play, scrambling around the pocket, threw a touchdown to Nelson Aguilar. He threw two to Mark Andrews. They look like a team to beat. And the Detroit defense, which had been arguably the best unit in football, nowhere to be found. And the offense, nowhere to be found as well. The Steelers, they beat the Los Angeles Rams on the road in LA. But, I mean, was it really a road game for them? Not really, because LA, the crowd, you know how that works. It's like the Chargers. It's kind of the same, but the Rams are a little bit better, I guess. But there was way more Steelers fans in that stadium. TJ Watt decided he was going to play nickel corner for a play and just QB spied, just looked into the backfield, picked off veteran Matt Stafford like it was absolutely nothing, like he does it for fun. It's ridiculous. TJ Watt is amazing. And I mean, the Steeler offense was able to just hang around long enough to have the defense get some stops and punch it in to tie the game and eventually win it late. So, looks like a typical Mike Tomlin-led team with a good defense and an offense that can do just enough. The Cleveland Browns, we talk about them. They beat the Colts in our game of the week. And Myles Garrett, like I touched on before and had the most difficult time saying, he just set the record for the most sacks ever before turning 28 years old with 81. He passed Reggie White, who had 80. So he's got 81 sacks before he turned 28. He turns 28 on December 29th, the most of all time. And this list is insane that he just topped. Myles Garrett, number one of sacks before the age of 29. Before the age of 28. 81. Myles Garrett, number one. Number two, Reggie White, 80. Number three, Derek Thomas, 77. Number four, Bruce Smith, 76.5. And number five, J.J. Watt, 76. So, I mean, every one of those players is a Hall of Famer. J.J. Watt's going to be a Hall of Famer. Bruce Smith, Derek Thomas, and Reggie White all are. And Myles Garrett, I mean, if he continues to do what he's been doing for the past couple of years, he will be on that trajectory as well. The Cincinnati Bengals, they were on bye. Can't really talk about them right now. They looked like they started to turn around last week, but we'll see what happens. We don't know yet. The NFC North, we talked about the Lions a little bit. They got smoked by the Baltimore Ravens, not the Orioles. Always mixing up my baseball and NFL teams for some reason. But that was a very bad showing by the Lions. The offense couldn't do anything. They couldn't get anything going. The defense, I don't think, got a single stop in the first half, and it was over like in the second quarter. Very surprising game. That's not how I expected this game to go from the Detroit Lions. I thought this was a new Detroit Lions team that, like, this is it now. That's new Detroit Lions where they're going to be good. But that was interesting. Not very good by them. The Green Bay Packers, they lost to Denver at Denver, which, I mean, that's not great, but they're 2-4 now. So, not looking great for the Packers. Jordan Love didn't look great as well. The offense is kind of sputtery. The defense is shaky. Not a great situation they have going on right now. And is this maybe the first time since before Brett Favre was in football that the Green Bay Packers have a bad quarterback? Is that a thing? It's been Favre straight to Rodgers. And it's been, I mean, it basically was like Bart Starr, like a little bit of time, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. And that's the whole history of the Green Bay Packers. Like, they've basically never had a bad quarterback. Is it the time? Is it now? Same thing. We talk about the Packers. They feel like they're always good. The Patriots, is it going to be the same thing, even though they won? Oh, speaking of the Patriots winning, the Patriots got that win. Late game drive. Mike Gesicki caught a touchdown from Mac Jones. It was Bill Belichick's 300th career win. He joins a very exclusive club of NFL coaches that have 300 career wins. Let me actually look up that club real quick. NFL win. Yeah, right here. I think there's only like 3 people on this. Bill Belichick gets his 300th regular season win against Buffalo Bills, joining Don Shula and George Halas as the only NFL coaches with 300 career wins. So that's pretty impressive. 3 coaches in the history of the sport to ever do it. Unbelievable. Bill Belichick, Crazy. So I had to get that in there. I just remember that. The Minnesota Vikings, they're playing Monday Night Football tonight. After this recording, I will get back to you after that game happens. They're playing the San Francisco 49ers. I'm actually not positive where that game is. Let me look it up. Let's see. It's going to be at Minnesota, so in Minneapolis. Maybe we'll see an interesting game here, but I don't know. Kind of a banged up Vikings team that hasn't been playing well against arguably the best team in football. We'll see how it goes. And we'll talk about the Chicago Bears absolutely destroying my Raiders, just like making them look like bums in every facet of the game. Just a pretty tough game to watch, you know. God, Tyson Bagent. Yeah. What? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears. He played because Justin Fields had a broken thumb. Tyson Bagent played Division II college football at Shepherd University and Colorado School of the Mines, right? So a very, very not highly touted prospect, right? Undrafted free agent, played a little bit last week because Justin Fields got hurt during the game, fumbled for a touchdown, right? This is his first career start, Division II player. Hasn't been a Division II NFL quarterback in a long time, I think 20 years. And he comes in and he absolutely annihilates a Raiders defense that has really no one good except for Max Crosby, and just beat the Raiders down in every single way they possibly could. Deontay Foreman had 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. Tyson Bagent had 1 touchdown. He didn't do anything wrong. The Raiders had Brian Hoyer starting quarterback because Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt his back last week. He threw a pick 6, did not look very good. He got benched at the end. Just very sad. 3-4 now for the Raiders, but the Bears get their second win. I believe they're 2-5 now. The AFC South, the Jags, they beat the New Orleans Saints on Thursday Night Football. It's a pretty good game, pretty high scoring game. It ended up being 31-24, Jacksonville. Pretty back and forth game, honestly, for the whole time. The Saints ended up going down by a little bit at the end, brought it back to within a touchdown game, and were driving to tie the game up as time expired. And Derek Carr, who didn't have the greatest of days, you all know how I love Derek Carr, so maybe my predictions have been, I'm going to eat him again. We'll see. But Derek Carr didn't have that great of a day. Led the team down into the red zone late in the fourth quarter to get a chance to tie the game up, because I feel like Derek Carr, that's all he does. You know, he's the king of late fourth quarter comebacks and late drive. That's like his specialty. So they had a chance to win. He threw onto the corner of the end zone to the other former Raider, Foster Moreau, who was unable to come up with the catch in a huge play, dropped it, kind of alligator armed it. Tough loss for the New Orleans Saints. And I don't know if I've ever seen Derek Carr so frustrated in my life. He was losing his mind. He was freaking out. AFC, so we're talking about the Texans now. They were on a bye. They're in second place now because the Colts lost to Cleveland in that crazy game of the week we talked about. But, Gardner Minshew played pretty well. Michael Pittman played pretty well. And Jonathan Taylor scored his first touchdown of the year. So if those 3 guys are able to continue to play well together, Pittman and Minshew especially, and then Jonathan Taylor to get himself back and accustomed to being the lead back in an offense, they could be all right. Because, Gardner Minshew has proven that he can lead teams. He can be an interesting quarterback in this league. And then the Tennessee Titans as well had a bye. The NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons, talked about it earlier. Young Hoku nailed a walk-off field goal in a really weird game between the Atlanta Falcons and these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got the last-second win as time expired. Young Hoku made that field goal, but a lot of weird plays in this game. Not a lot of touchdowns. Very low scoring. Only 2 touchdowns in the game combined. And it was just weird. Very weird game. But this game was huge for Atlanta as this win put them ahead of Tampa Bay in the division. Now they claim the 1 seed. Tampa Bay jumps down to 2. The Saints, who I just touched on, lost to Jacksonville on Thursday Night Football in a tough game for them. They're in 3rd right now, and the Panthers had a bye. Still looking for their first win going into Week 8. They're going to be 0-6. The AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs, they beat the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday in the 4 o'clock window. Mahomes and Kelsey went absolutely nuts. Kelsey had, I think, 170 receiving yards. Mahomes threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Did have a pick, but he looked unreal. They played amazing. They really did just bully that kind of Chargers team. They bully the entire AFC West. So whenever they play anyone in the AFC West, I mean, it's a pretty safe bet if you take the Chiefs. Spread, money line, anything you want, because they ended up winning by 2 touchdowns. And because they beat the Chargers, the Raiders, even though they had that absolutely atrocious embarrassment of a loss to the Chicago Bears and backup quarterbacks, backup players all over the place, they're still in second somehow. They're sitting at 3-4, still in second, playing the Lions next week. I don't know. That looks whack. The Chargers lost to Kansas City, like I just said. They are 2-4 now. They need to get things figured out because they've been pretty bad too. The other team in there, the Denver Broncos, they actually beat the Green Bay Packers. They won their second game of the year. They're 2-5 now. They got to win at home. They're just so boring to watch, I'm going to be honest. The NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers, they are playing the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. We'll get back into you when that game ends. I think Christian McCaffrey is in. And I'd say keep an eye out for George Kittle because it seems to me that every time when he plays in the week that National Tight Ends Day falls on, he goes absolutely nuts. So keep an eye out for George Kittle tonight. That's what I think. The Seattle Seahawks, they beat the Arizona Cardinals this week. Geno played pretty well. Jake Bobo made an unbelievable catch. DK Metcalf did not play, so other receivers for the Seattle Seahawks needed to step up, and he was one of them. Jackson Smith and Jigba caught himself a touchdown as well. So both of those guys, young receivers, stepping up in DK Metcalf's absence. The Los Angeles Rams lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Puka Nacua had an unbelievable day for himself. He had another 150-yard game, and he's just unbelievable. So even with Cooper Kupp back, Puka Nacua is proving to be a force to be reckoned with. Still, for fantasy managers and for defenses. The Cardinals, they lost to Seattle. But, I mean, Josh Dobbs has played solid. Kyler Murray is inching for a comeback. I think he's going to practice at some point. He might even be back at practice already. He was inactive for this game, but he'll be back soon. But you got to give Josh Dobbs the credit that he deserves for the job that he's done through 7 weeks. He's been all right. Even though they lost, they're sitting in last in the NFC West. He's been okay. He's definitely not the reason why they're this bad. And that's going to wrap up our standings update. So, NFL standings shaping out a little bit now as we're 7 games through. Next week, I mean, now that the NFL season is 17 games, what's the halfway point? 8 used to be the halfway point because it was 16 games for each team, 17 weeks. But now it's 18 weeks. I guess it's week 9 is the halfway point. We got 2 more weeks till we're halfway through. Once we get halfway through, I'll start talking about wild card standings. We'll get into that. We'll talk about those matchups, see how it's shaping out once the season is getting down to the end. So, as always, make sure you follow us on all of our accounts on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the good stuff at Bobby Valentine Sports Show. And if you need anything to know about the Bobby Valentine Sports Academy, hit up bvacademy.com. You'll get all the needs necessary about Bobby Valentine Sports Academy. And until next week, we'll see you again in week 8. Peace out. All right, so Monday Night Football wrapped up. The Minnesota Vikings were able to take care of the San Francisco 49ers at home and get the win. Kirk Cousins had a good day. That Minnesota Vikings defense had a great day, able to force 3 turnovers on the day. They forced a fumble from Christian McCaffrey on the very first drive of the game for San Francisco, and they picked off Brock Purdy twice, both of them by, and I'm forgetting his name. Wow, I'm Jones. But first possession of the game for the Vikings defense ended in a turnover, fumble by McCaffrey. Last possession of the game, pick by Brock Purdy. So, good day for the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe that gets them back on track. They've played in a lot of close games so far, so maybe that win against a good team in the San Francisco 49ers will get them back on track. And Kirk Cousins playing well in prime time, which is something that doesn't happen all too often, but did pretty well for himself there. Pretty weird game, to be honest. Vikings go up early. Defenses kind of were standing tall. The Jordan Addison had an unbelievable day. Great day from the rookie. He just became the 3rd Minnesota Vikings rookie ever to have a 100-yard receiving game, joining Randy Moss, Justin Jefferson, and himself. So, pretty cool stuff there. They played well. They really did play well. The defense played really well. McCaffrey had 2 touchdowns because that's what McCaffrey does. But, I mean, it was an overall solid game by this Minnesota Vikings defense. TJ Hawkinson, the day after National Tight Ends Day, had a pretty good day. So did George Kittle. George Kittle always seems to have a good day on the day of or the day after, whatever. The week of National Tight Ends Day, George Kittle has a good day. So George Kittle did pretty well, but the San Francisco 49ers lose their second straight game to the they were previously undefeated. They lost last week to the not the Jets, that was the Eagles. They lost last week to what the hell? Why am I blanking? They lost last week to who? I'm Jones. The Browns. They lost to the Browns and they lose to the Vikings. But Christian McCaffrey, with those 2 touchdowns he scored, he extended his streak of consecutive games with a touchdown to 16, setting a new NFL record. So Christian McCaffrey, just unbelievable, unstoppable, nothing you can do. Even if you beat him, he's still going to score. He scored 2 times, 16 in a row, sets an NFL record. Unbelievable stuff. But the 49ers lose their second game and fall to 5-2 on the season. And that's going to wrap it up for Week 7 of the NFL season. And make sure to follow us at Bobby Valentine Sports Show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. And hit up the bvacademy.com for everything you need to know about Bobby Valentine Sports Academy. All right, that'll wrap it up for Week 7, and we'll see you next week for Week 8. Peace out.